The ability to manipulate fire at will is a power that has been imagined in countless myths and legends throughout human history. The thought of being able to control this elemental force with the mere flick of a finger is both awe-inspiring and terrifying. But what if it were possible? What kind of impact would this ability have on human society? This is Fantasy World. We try to imagine everything about your fantasy. First, let's consider the practical applications of being able to manipulate fire at will. One of the most obvious benefits would be in the field of cooking. Imagine being able to start a fire with a thought, or even cook a meal with a wave of the hand. This would revolutionize the way we prepare food and make it much more efficient and convenient. Similarly, being able to control fire would greatly benefit industries that rely on it, such as construction, manufacturing, and energy production. The ability to start and control fires with precision would greatly increase safety and efficiency in these fields. If a human who could manipulate fire at will was a good person, it could potentially have a positive impact on society. The ability to start and control fires with precision would be beneficial in many fields such as firefighting, construction, and agriculture. For example, a good person with the ability to manipulate fire could be used to quickly and effectively put out fires, or to clear land for farming or construction. Additionally, it could also be used in a number of other applications such as providing heat or light in remote or disaster-stricken areas, and cooking food. The psychological impact of having a good person with this ability would also be positive. The general population would feel more secure knowing that there is someone with this ability to help in emergency situations and would likely be viewed as a hero. It would also lead to a greater acceptance and understanding of individuals with this ability, which would help to reduce the societal division that could occur if the person with this ability were a bad person. To utilize a good person with this ability, it would likely require cooperation between different agencies such as the fire department and other emergency services, as well as specialized equipment and technology, such as fireproof barriers and fire extinguishing materials. It would also be important to gather as much information as possible about the individual's abilities and limitations, in order to develop effective strategies for utilizing their powers for the benefit of society. Of course, there would also be negative consequences to this ability. The potential for abuse and misuse of this power is enormous. Imagine the destruction that could be caused by a single person with the ability to start and control fires at will. Additionally, the ability to control fire would also greatly increase the potential for warfare. If a human who could manipulate fire at will was a bad person, it would likely have a devastating impact on society. The ability to start and control fires with precision would greatly increase the potential for arson and other forms of criminal activity, and could be used to cause widespread destruction and loss of life. Additionally, the bad person with this ability would also pose a significant threat to law enforcement and first responders, as they would be unable to effectively combat the fires started by this individual. It would also be difficult for authorities to track and locate the individual, as they would be able to start fires at will and quickly move on to another location. Furthermore, the psychological impact of having a bad person with this ability would also be significant. The general population would live in fear of this individual, and it would be difficult for them to go about their daily lives. This fear would also lead to societal division, as people would begin to distrust and fear those with this ability. Moreover, the bad person with this ability would likely be able to use it to their advantage in other criminal activities such as extortion, threats, or even to force people to do their bidding. They could use it as a tool of terror and coercion. If a country had a soldier who could manipulate fire at will, it would likely have a significant advantage in warfare. The ability to start and control fires with precision would greatly increase the effectiveness of incendiary weapons and could be used to destroy buildings, vehicles, and infrastructure with ease. Additionally, the ability to manipulate fire would also be useful in a number of other military applications. For example, it could be used to create smoke screens, signal flares, or to clear paths through thick vegetation. The psychological impact of having a fire-manipulating soldier would also be significant. The enemy would be intimidated by the power of this individual, and it would be difficult for them to come up with a strategy to defeat it. However, it's worth noting that having a fire-manipulating soldier would also have its drawbacks. The potential for collateral damage would be greatly increased, as it would be difficult to control the spread of fires started by this individual. This could lead to civilian casualties and damage to infrastructure, which would be a major concern in modern warfare. Another aspect to consider is that the soldier would require special equipment to protect themselves from the heat and fire, and also to be able to move and fight in a manner that regular soldiers do. Furthermore, the soldier would also require a significant amount of training to learn how to control and use their powers effectively. Defeating a human with the ability to manipulate fire at will would likely be a challenging task, as they would have an immense advantage in any situation involving fire. However, there are several strategies that could potentially be used to neutralize this advantage. One strategy would be to use water or other fire-extinguishing materials to douse the flames and limit the ability of the fire manipulator to continue using their powers. This would require quick and efficient access to large quantities of water or other extinguishing materials. Another strategy would be to physically separate the fire manipulator from the source of their power by trapping them in a sealed or insulated room where they cannot access fire. Another strategy would be to use technology to counteract their powers, such as using fireproof barriers, or developing specialized equipment that can neutralize their fire abilities. For example, a special suit or equipment that can withstand high temperatures and protect the wearer from fire would be useful in countering their powers. Another strategy would be to use psychological tactics. For example, by distracting the fire manipulator, or by using deception to make them believe that their powers are ineffective. It's also important to note that not all fire manipulators are the same. Some may have limits, some may have weaknesses or vulnerabilities that can be exploited. In any case, it would be essential to gather as much information as possible about the individual's abilities and limitations before attempting to neutralize them. It's worth mentioning that, ultimately, the best way to defeat a fire manipulator would be to work together with other people who also have special abilities. Or with people who have knowledge and technology that can be used to neutralize the fire manipulator's powers. Furthermore, the psychological effects of being able to control fire would be significant. It would be a power that would separate those who had it from those who didn't, and could lead to feelings of superiority or even godlike power among those who possessed it. This could lead to societal division and even conflict. In conclusion, the ability to manipulate fire at will is a power that would have both practical and profound effects on human society. It would greatly benefit many industries and greatly increase the potential for creative expression. However, it would also greatly increase the potential for abuse and misuse, and could lead to societal division and conflict. It is an interesting thought experiment to consider, but ultimately it is important to remember that fire is a powerful force that should be respected and treated with caution. With great power comes great responsibility.